Want to know the latest and hottest music hitting the airwaves? Don't be left out. Listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Music Podcast. Keith keeps you on the loop with everything you need to know from pop, rock, hip-hop, and the top 40. And we'll throw in news of your favorite artists, concert and tour dates, and so much more. Listen no further, because this is the gold standard in music podcast.
Hello and welcome to the GSMC Music Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Sarah, and I hope that you had a great weekend and you're having a good Monday. Hope you found some sort of Monday motivation, whatever that might be for you. Alliteration-wise, music might be a good Monday motivation. As usual, for this episode, we'll be talking about some stories coming to us from the world of music. Story is one that I see trending on Twitter and I imagine many other places, and it is that Katy Perry's song "Dark Horse" was copied from a rap song a jury has found. So that was a very awkward intro. I do apologize. So a jury has found that pop singer Katy Perry copied a 2009 Christian rap song for her 2013 hit Dark Horse, the Associated Press reports. The decision was unanimous by a 9-member federal jury in a Los Angeles courtroom on Monday. The jury concluded that the beat of the Christian song was original enough to be copyrighted. The verdict came 5 years after the Christian rapper Marcus Gray, also known as Flame, and 2 co-writers filed a lawsuit against the pop star. Gray alleged Perry stole the beat and instrumental line from his song Joyful Noise to create Dark Horse. The main focus of the copyright infringement case was about the beat, not the lyrics. Gray's attorneys claimed it was possible for the defendants to have heard the song and presented evidence that it had millions of plays on YouTube and Spotify. Gray's album, which included the song Joyful Noise, was nominated for a Grammy. They're trying to shove Mr. Gray into some gospel music alleyway that no one ever visits, said the plaintiff's attorney, Michael A. Kahn, during closing arguments. Perry's legal team argued that the song contains simple musical elements that should be available for anyone to use. They're trying to own basic building blocks of music, the alphabet of music, that should be available to everyone, attorney Christine LaPera said during closing arguments on Thursday. In their final verdict, the jurors found all 6 songwriters and all 4 corporations that released and distributed the songs were liable. The songwriters include Perry and Sarah Hudson, who only worked on the lyrics, along with Juicy J, who only penned his guest verse. Other defendants found liable were Capitol Records, as well as Perry's producers, Dr. Luke, Max Martin, and Circuit, who came up with the song's beat. The case will now go on to a penalty phase where the jury will determine how much is owed for copyright infringement from Perry and the other defendants. So that is, I'm always fascinated by those cases, because how do you determine if someone copied another song when, do you do it consciously? Do you do it subconsciously? Have you heard something and it sticks in your head? Or is it blatant copyright violation? It's fascinating to me how all of that works, but they must have presented the evidence in such a way that the jury just determined that, yes, it was copied from the 2009 song. So be interesting to see then where this goes in the next phase of this process. Let's move on to a happier story, still music-ish and social media related, and it is about Rihanna. Well, sort of about Rihanna. It is about Rihanna's supposed doppelganger. It is said that we all have a doppelganger, that we all have a twin somewhere in the world, and with the number of people in the world and the number of facial features available, I'm sure that is true. Rihanna seems to have found her doppelganger on social media, and she actually posted a picture which, could probably be considered like a throwback picture of Rihanna. So she posted the photo and wrote, "Almost dropped my phone. How?" And considering people are saying that the two are identical, you would have to look and see if you think that they are identical. But she apparently wasn't the only one doing a double take. Celebrities and fans alike took to the comments to express their utter shock, and many automatically assumed that this was the work of FaceApp, the same app responsible for making everyone appear to be old. So, yeah, the little girl that is in the picture could definitely be a younger Rihanna. She's a beautiful young girl, posted by Rihanna on Instagram, and then of course people reacted, as it said, celebrities and fans alike. People like Uzu Aduba, Lala Anthony, Shanina Sheikh, Dorinda Medley, and Miranda Kerr, among others, shared their thoughts on this, saying wow, and the little girl is adorable, which she is, but the resemblance is pretty questionable. But then the resemblance is not questionable. The resemblance is there. The question is, how did Rihanna discover her little doppelganger in the millions of pictures on Instagram that are in the world? That part apparently remains a mystery, but she did tag the little girl's mom in the photo, which means that, she knows where the picture came from. We don't know where it is. At any rate, the little girl is very cute. I wonder who she is, but at the same time, I don't want to know who she is because she doesn't need that kind of attention in her life. Although I guess Rihanna did tag her mom. So my question would be, A, have you seen the picture, and do you think it looks like a young Rihanna? She could play a young Rihanna in a movie, definitely, I think. And B, I wonder how it feels as either the mother or the daughter in the picture to suddenly have a picture go viral because a celebrity finds it and thinks that you look like them as a small, as a younger version of them, which she does. I can't even imagine. Obviously, I am not a small child, but let's say if one of my nieces suddenly was viral on Instagram because she looked like a celebrity, the internet is a weird place, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I can say. The internet is a weird place. But let's go ahead and move on from, we're not going to move on from the weirdness of the internet because this is the Social Media News Podcast and we talk about the internet throughout. So what else do we have to talk about today? I'm going to move on to a story about one of my dad's favorite musicians, one of mine as well, but definitely got my love of this musician from my dad, and that is B.B. King. The story here is that one of his guitars is headed to auction. If you didn't know, B.B. King named all of his guitars Lucille. He just did. I know there's a story behind that, but all of his guitars were Lucille, and I don't know if they were all jealous that they were all named Lucille or if they were okay with it. I once knew a guy who had, I think he's on his 19th or 20th dog, and he has named them all the same thing. I guess that just makes it easier to remember. At any rate, there is one of his guitars which is headed to auction, and it has been gifted for his 80th birthday, and it is estimated to bring up to $100,000 in the September sale. So it is one of his iconic Gibson electric guitars, of course, named Lucille, the late blues musician's black ES 345 prototype, a gift from the guitar company to mark King's 80th birthday, is valued between $80,000 and $100,000 for Julian's auction September 21st sale. The instrument, which includes a crown inlaid with mother of pearl and a headstock emblazoned with B.B. King 80, was one of the guitarist's primary instruments in his later touring years. It is accompanied by a hard leather case featuring B.B. King embroidered in gold. The auction also features other items from the King estate, including a National Medal of Arts presented in 1990 by George H.W. Bush, valued between $20,000 and $30,000, a stage and photo shoot gold ring with BB on the top, his 2010 G35 touring van used during his final tours, an 18-karat yellow gold Hopkins & Hopkins pocket watch gifted by U2. That's pretty impressive. It's engraved B.B. King on the back and Love U2 89 in the interior. His Hollywood Walk of Fame plaque received in 1990, his honorary 1977 Doctorate of Music diploma from Yale University, and a handmade red leather guitar case embossed Lucille and B.B. King and inscribed Happy Birthday from the B.B. King Orchestra, among other items. King, who died in 2015 at the age of 89, owned a series of Lucille guitars over the years. The legend is traced back to 1949, when, after a fire broke out during a brawl at one of his shows, he entered the burning building to rescue the guitar. Upon realizing the fight was over, a woman named Lucille, he named his future guitars the same. A reminder, Julian's notes, to never fight over a woman or run into a burning building. The 80th birthday, Lucille, has an equally fascinating backstory. King used the guitar as his primary stage instrument until it was stolen during the summer of 2009. Months later, a guitar trader named Eric Dahl stumbled upon the guitar at a Las Vegas pawn shop, unaware of the instrument's value. The whole thing was covered in sweat. The strings were nasty, he told Gibson.com. Then I flipped it over and looked at the headstock, and it said Prototype 1 in a white stamp. I assumed it meant this was one of the original 80th birthday models Lucille's that B.B. King had approved. Intrigued by the headstock, Dahl reached out to Gibson and eventually learned its history. King met with Dahl and traded him a new Lucille for the 80th birthday model. So fascinating stories from a man who was an amazing musician and a fascinating person in his own right. Let's go ahead and take our first break of the podcast, and when we come back, more news from the world of music. Stay tuned. You're listening to the GSMC Music Podcast, and I'll be right back.
Always on the go, but the day just won't be one without your Hollywood fix. Let Golden State Media Concepts Entertainment Podcast take care of that. An all-inclusive look of pop culture.
Welcome back to the GSMC Music Podcast. Before the break, we were talking about B.B. King and his one of his Lucille guitars being auctioned off. Let's keep it old school and talk. Well, it's a new movie, but it's old school. There is a trailer. The trailer has been released for the Lifetime movie Patsy and Loretta, and according to theboot.com, it previews a promising depiction of the whirlwind careers and rocky marriages shared by fast friends Patsy Cline and Loretta Lynn. So we are definitely taking it old school there. The film is set to premiere this fall. As depicted in the Patsy and Loretta trailer, Lynn, then new to the country music world, got a boost in Nashville by befriending Cline, by that time an established star. After Cline's 1961 car accident, Cline selflessly offered advice to other artists regardless of genre or gender. Although some stars might have seen them as competition and held them at arm's length, Cline and Lynn's relatively short yet historically important partnership ended after Cline's 1963 death in a plane crash. Wow, she had a tragic life, didn't she? The Patsy and Loretta trailer also teases the movie's stern yet fair treatment of Lynn's husband, Oliver Doolittle Lynn, and Cline's spouse, Charlie Dick, despite taking a hands-on interest in their wives' careers. Both men represent the outdated mindset behind treating girl singers differently than their male counterparts. Megan Hilty plays Klein, while Broadway actress Jessie Mueller plays Lynn in Patsy and Loretta. The Lifetime television movie, shot on location in Music City, was directed by Nashville creator Callie Curry, Klein's daughter Julie Fudge, and Lynn's daughter Patsy Lynn Russell co-produced the film. So, as I said, that will be coming out in the fall. Two amazing artists, and it will be interesting to see how that is depicted, their friendship. Again, Patsy Cline was amazing, one of my favorite country singers. Well, I mean, from that era, she's kind of my only favorite singer from that era, but just she had what seems to be a bit of a tragic life, so it'll be interesting to see how this movie portrays that life and that friendship, etc. Moving on back to, present day, although the movie is present day, you know where I'm going with that. According to Billboard, DJ Khaled has been named as Apple Music's first artist in residence. So let's see. Apple Music has named him their first ever artist in residence on Wednesday, July 24th. The streaming giant will give Khaled total creative control of their most popular playlists. For his first move, he puts his own spin on AM's beloved Office DJ playlist, which now includes hits from his decorated discography as well as cuts from Lauryn Hill, Drake, Sam Cooke, Snoop Dogg, Jay-Z, and Rick Ross. The quote, he is quoted as saying, "Bless up at Apple Music for making me the very first artist in residence ever for at Apple Music," he wrote to make the announcement official on his Instagram. "This means I'm taking over the biggest playlists on the platform every month. Also, the goal is to break new artists in the process. All record labels and artists hit me up. This month we gonna start with Office DJ, and then I might hit y'all with a Gym Flow playlist vibe next month." You can watch him in action at the Apple offices with a commercial that you can find on his Instagram, and you can obviously learn more about what he is doing, and then moving forward you can see how he takes over those playlists and what it really means to be an artist in residence at Apple Music, and then who will be next? Will they continue to do this, etc.? So it'll be interesting to just see where that goes. In other news, Natalie Imbruglia has announced that she is pregnant with her first child. The 44-year-old musician shared the news via Instagram on Wednesday last week, posting a selfie in which she showed off her baby bump and explained that she had undergone successful in vitro fertilization with a sperm donor. The mom-to-be announced the news she had signed a new record deal, also announced the news that she had signed a new record deal with BMG. She's quoted as saying, "I've been busy writing for the past year and a half and can't wait to share these new songs with you all." And as you can see from the pic, there is another announcement. "No, I haven't swallowed a watermelon. I'm expecting my first child this autumn." She added, "For those of you that know me, this has been something I have wanted for a very long time, and I'm blessed that this is possible with the help of IVF and a sperm donor. I won't be saying anything more on that publicly. I'm so excited about this next adventure, a new album, and I'm going to be a mom." It's not clear if she will be raising the child as a single mom. She did split from her husband, Daniel Johns, in 2008 and announced she was dating photographer Matt Field in 2017, but not sure if he is still on the scene. Well, congratulations to her and the new album and the new baby coming in autumn. I don't know when the new album is coming. So, babies and albums and all sorts of exciting news happening in the world of music. A less exciting news, more of a drama-filled news story, is that unfortunately Aretha Franklin's family is in a full-blown war over her assets and her legacy, which is unfortunate. According to Aretha Franklin's lawyers, her youngest son doesn't have the ability, skill, and knowledge, that's a quote, to serve as estate administrator. So late last summer, Aretha Franklin died of a pancreatic neuroendocrine tumor, or PNET, at 76. Initially, it appeared that Aretha hadn't written a will. But earlier this year, family members discovered 3 handwritten wills under the cushions in the late singer's home in Detroit. The most recent one, dated March 2014, gave her assets to family members, including her youngest son, Kekal Cunningham, who is the youngest of her 4 sons. But in a court filing in June, attorneys for Franklin's estate told an Oakland County, Michigan judge no basis exists to support the assumption that Cunningham has the ability, skill, and knowledge to serve as the estate's representative. In fact, Sabrina Owens, the singer's niece, who has managed the estate until now, has done a, quote, marvelous job as administrator. She has successfully managed business deals involving Aretha's music, life, and likeness. Kekal Cunningham apparently hasn't, according to the lawyers. Now, in an increasingly complex and bitter family dispute, another son says he deserves to manage his mother's estate. In a court filing, attorneys for Theodore White II said he, not Cunningham, should co-manage the estate. He would serve alongside Owens. In the 2014 will, Aretha Franklin had allegedly scratched out White and Owens' names, yet they had both appeared in a handwritten will she wrote in 2010. According to White, his mother didn't cross out the names. He also doesn't believe Cunningham did so either. On August 6th, a judge will consider a request to have a handwriting expert examine the handwritten wills. Yet Aretha's youngest son apparently doesn't want to wait that long. He has filed for a temporary restraining order demanding Owens no longer exercise her job as administrator. Wow. So, well, good luck with figuring all of that out. Unfortunately, these things happen in families. I mean, they happen in families who don't have a famous family member and an estate to manage. So hopefully everything will get worked out and the dysfunction won't be too exacerbated by this process, but I can only imagine that it will be. Let's go ahead and take our second break of the podcast. When we come back, we'll be wrapping up with a few more music stories. So stay tuned. You're listening to the GSMC Music Podcast, and I'll be right back.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back to the GSMC Music Podcast. Before the break, we were talking about some family drama regarding Aretha Franklin's estate. So let's move on to a more positive story, this one involving love as opposed to drama. And that is that according to Billboard, Common has staged a love-in at the Grammy Museum. So the Grammy Museum hosted a love-in on July 23rd, which was officiated by the Doctor of Love, also known as Common, the artist, actor, author, activist, that is awesome alliteration, oh, hey, even more, was in Los Angeles promoting his forthcoming album, Let Love, inspired by his recent memoir, Let Love Have the Last Word. Both the album and the book were the focus of the museum's sold-out Q&A performance session and evening with Common. There is a quote, This is the Let Love show, and this is the Let Love Orchestra, declared an exuberant Common as he prepared to treat the audience to several album cuts. My name is Common, or some people call me the Doctor of Love. If you ask my ex-girlfriend, she'll call me some other names. You know what I'm saying. But we're here to celebrate love and the Let Love movements. For the next 30-plus minutes, Common and his tight 6-piece band alternated between performing various tracks, opening with My Fancy Free Future Love and answering audience questions about learning how to love yourself and others, which is the premise behind his new book. The mini concert set list included his current single, Hercules, Good Morning Love, and Show Me That You Love, Memories of Home, which featured a surprise guest, BJ the Chicago Kid, and God is Love. So he scheduled a love-in to promote his new album and his book. So love is love, and love is lovely. So hey, if you have an album and a book talking about love, and some people call you the Doctor of Love, go with it and have a love-in. Just go with it. According to The Boot, Reba McEntire is going to be in she's obviously a country star, and she has done some acting as well, but she has been added to the cast of vocal talents involved with the forthcoming Fox animated film Spies in Disguise. The movie is due out before the end of 2019. Will Smith and Tom Holland co-star in Spies in Disguise, a movie that's, according to The Hollywood Reporter, part James Bond homage, part buddy comedy. Smith voices Lance Sterling, the world's greatest spy, while Holland portrays Sterling's socially awkward gadgets expert, Walter. There's always got to be... Why are the gadgets experts always got to be socially awkward? Because they spend too much time in the lab. I know. I would be the socially awkward... Except that I can't make gadgets, so I'd be this socially awkward. I don't even know what I'd be in the spy movie. But the story is based on a prior animated short entitled Pigeon Impossible. In addition to Holland, McEntire, and Smith, Spies in Disguise will also feature Rachel Brosnahan, Ben Mendelsohn, Karen Gillan, Rashida Jones, DJ Khaled, there's a tie into the last one of our other stories, and Masi Oka. There is no word yet on McEntire's exact role in the movie, which is directed by, it's being co-directed by Nick Bruno and Troy Kwani, and features producer Mark Ronson as executive music producer. So, will be interesting. Of course, this is not Reba McEntire's first foray into the world of animation. She was in the spin-off of Disney's Hercules. She recorded the TV spin-off, She was in the straight-to-video feature The Fox and the Hound 2, a live-action remake of Charlotte's Web, and wrote most recently The Land Before Time, XIV, so that's 14. There's been 14 Lands Before Time. Wow, okay, I guess I knew that. But this one's called Journey of the Brave. That was in 2016. And, of course, she's also had a number of other TV and movie roles. Spies in Disguise is slated to hit theaters on Christmas Day, and it will close out a year that for McEntire has included a new album, Stronger Than the Truth, and additional Las Vegas dates with fellow Hall of Famers Brooks and Dunn. So congratulations to her on all of that. Speaking of Las Vegas and performers, Gwen Stefani has canceled a Las Vegas show stating that she is unwell. She posted on her Instagram, "I am so upset to share that I am unwell and will not be able to perform my Vegas residency show tomorrow night. I was so looking forward to seeing everyone and performing, and I wish I wasn't feeling the way I do. To everyone who was coming to Wednesday's show, I am so sorry. I'm doing everything I can to be back on stage on Friday." So she is... as it said, so she was canceling that that performance. The show is called Just a Girl, and she was canceling that due to illness. Of course, many people commented on and wished her well, etc., which is always nice when social media is nice or kind and not angry and bitter. There was probably some of those too. I don't know. I'm just going to focus on the nice and kind, shall we? We started with love. One final story, and that is that Paul McCartney has hinted at that a new album release of outtakes may be on the way. He has hinted that he may release this album of outtakes in the future after amassing, quote unquote, millions of them during studio recordings. Oh my gosh, if you've ever heard some of the outtakes, especially from the why am I blanking on it? The anthology, geez, there we go, from the Beatles. There are some hilarious outtakes. Anyway, he describes the outtakes as a treasure trove in an interview on his website, and said the material comes from various ad-libbed sound checks and rehearsals. On being asked if he still improvises at sound checks, he said, "Yeah, we do," and added, "We've got millions of them. Unfortunately, there's a guy on our team called Jamie who logs them, and he tells me we've actually got thousands. Some of them are really good, and occasionally I'll pick one out and work on it. For Egypt Station, I picked one out, though we didn't finish it. I picked one out, and we're kind of making a track around this riff from the Soundcheck Jam, because it was like, that was a good little riff. But because they're improvised, they're instant, and then they're gone." He added, "Thankfully, our stuff is captured because these days you can record just about anything that moves. It's a little treasure trove. And one day we will have to put together an album or something with a selection of these songs that we've gathered because they're from all around the world." I would definitely listen to that. But then, as you know, I am a huge Beatles fan, so I'm a huge Beatles fan. At any rate, thank you so much for joining me for this episode of the GSMC Music Podcast. Join me again next time, and we'll find out what else is happening in the world of music.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Music Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.